Hey everyone, how's it going? Five Finger Shuffle back here with another video, and we have some super exciting news. As I'm sure you saw in the title, RTA, aka World Arena, are coming to Epic 7, and there's a lot of hype about it. It's been the talk in our Discord all day today, people trying to figure out what's going to be good, what's not. Basically, what I want to do today, instead of going over the patch like everybody else is doing, or the notes like everybody else is doing, I want to give you guys 10 things that you can expect from RTA. RTA stands for Real Time Arena. It was a big part of the game Summoners War, and it was one of the top players in Summoners War in RTA. And I feel like I can kind of give you guys a good idea of what to expect from RTA here, and maybe some things that you guys don't already know about it and how it works, and kind of what to look forward to. So, number one is the structure. So, the structure, there's a good picture here, but they don't really detail how this is going to work. You can see down at the bottom there are 3 steps. So, assuming that they follow the same pattern as Summoners War did, which by the looks of it they're going to, the person, it'll be random who gets to pick first. So you randomly get matched against somebody anywhere in the world across any server. So keep in mind this is across server. So if you're in the top 100 in global server now in Arena, you can expect, since there's 3 servers, you can expect to be maybe top 300 in RTA. So don't expect to have the same ranking unless you're obviously number 1. But keep that in mind when you're doing this, is that it is cross server. So you get matched against anybody in any server across the world, and say you get first pick. So this person decided to first pick their Silverblade Araminta. Then it would switch over to the other person. They get to pick 2 units. Keep in mind, you cannot pick the same units as the opposition. So it goes 1, then 2 for the second person, then back to the first person. So you picked Biken and Lilibet. And then back to the next person, they picked 2. So they picked Sez and I think that's Vivian. And then finally, you pick 2 to wrap things up on your end. So you pick Vildred and Euphine, and then they get last pick and can basically have a chance, because you got first pick, they get a chance to counter whatever it is you're doing. So they decided to bring Lulu. Long story short, person number 2 here, you're getting to react to person number 1, and they picked all earth units, so you probably don't want to pick all water, but that's besides the point. So then from there, you're done the picking phase. Then step 2 is the ban phase. So you can see this person on the left decided to ban the only earth unit, which was Vivian. And then obviously person on the right has to ban somebody from person on the left. And then you go into the fight and it's 4v4, just like regular arena. You're alternating turns, except obviously this is live. So there is a timer. You do have like 20 seconds to decide what you want to do, or whatever the timer is that they give you. But that's the basic structure of RTA, and that's how every fight is going to go. I'm not sure what they're going to do in terms of the amount of fights you're allowed to do. It doesn't really say anything here. What they did in Summoners War is they gave us 30 fights a day, and they were free. You couldn't buy any more fights, so you could do 30 the maximum, or you could do 0. It didn't really matter. The only thing is, if you did 0 for like 3 days in a row, then you would slowly start to bleed rank. But because you weren't fighting, you didn't drop rank if you did take a day off, so it's not an issue. And all you would have to do to not bleed rank is do 1 fight. So also the length of the seasons was about 3 months long. So that's the basic structure of RTA. And it sounds like a lot of fun, and I know a lot of people are really excited, but there are a lot of things that you guys should know that aren't as good as a lot of people are excited about. So I love RTA personally. I'm super excited it's coming to the game, but there are things that you should be aware about just so you don't get your hopes too high. The first being, it had a nickname, Nat5 Arena. So people are going to complain, I'm sure of it, that it's going to be a very quote-unquote pay-to-win type thing, but it is a very late game mechanic. It's not something that, if you're just starting the game, you're going to be good at. You do need a lot of really good units, and you need them all built, and you need to have some sort of synergy between them. Next up is we can expect a lot of bugs and disconnections. So whenever Epic 7 puts out a new game mode, there's always a lot of bugs and stuff like that. That's normal. That happens in any game. A lot of disconnecting, a lot of connection issues. But because this is cross-server, you can expect the issues to be far and beyond what we experience with the normal connecting RAS issues that we get post-patch. Um, this is probably going to be a big issue for quite a while until they get it ironed out and they expand their servers. The good news is, hopefully, they realize that, and that will mean they're expanding their servers, which would improve the playability of the rest of the game and reduce the lag in things like summoning and things like evolving champions and stuff like that, and the animations, of course, as well. So that part's fantastic. Hopefully, it does help that part. But we are probably going to have to live with quite a few bugs when it first comes out. It'll probably have a test phase, and people will complain, but it's all for the better, it's all for the greater good, and it will work itself out eventually. The next thing on the list is that people in general hate RTA. And I know that's a weird thing to say because I absolutely love it. But at the time RTA came into Summoner's War, I was already really late game at that point. Um, and really, there was nothing else to do. So it was fantastic for me. But the general population doesn't really like it because they forget that you're going to lose a lot. In normal arena, you expect to have anywhere from a 70 to 90% win rate. In RTA, because it's live, you don't have that advantage, and at best, you're going to be 50-50. So, like, the top 0.1% of players is going to be around 60%, and everybody else is going to be under or around 50%. That's just the way it works. So a lot of people get really upset with the fact that they're only winning half their fights, and it's hard to progress. But that's kind of the way it is when you're going live arena. And because you don't have that advantage of the other person taking advantage of the other person's AI and getting to select specifically against them, you just can't win that percentage of their fights. So you do have to be prepared for that. But if you are, it's a lot of fun. And the idea of like having a live battle specifically against somebody is something that you can get really excited about. Next up on the list is different builds. So a lot of things that are built a certain way now may not be built the same way later. So, for example, maybe you have a bruiser like, say, Ravi, for example, or ML Ravi, and currently she's at 160 speed. RTA, a lot of times, that meta is, I don't want to say that meta, but that build is going to be very different. So you might see that Ravi be over 200 speed. And maybe their top units will be 260 speed and all the other units will be around 200. Yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but a lot of units have significantly different builds for RTA than they do for regular arena and they do for Guild War. I know in Summoner's War, a lot of the champions that I used, they were fantastic Guild War champions, but I had them built for RTA, so my Guild War kind of suffered a little bit, and I didn't use those champs a lot in Guild War because of the fact I had them built differently for RTA, which is both good and bad. It's bad if you don't have a lot of units built, but if you have a lot of units built, it gives you a reason to build things in a different way, which can also be really good for the game. So I really like that part of it, but you do have to be prepared for the fact that if you bring your standard Guild War builds in, you're most likely going to get wrecked in RTA because everything is going to be geared a little bit differently. And you will have to adjust to that, and things will change depending on how the meta evolves. The next one I kind of touched on already. It is super, super, super late game. So we mentioned that with the fact that it's called Nat 5 Arena, but I just want to touch on it again in that being as evolved as it is, you have to have perfect gear, you have to have everything maxed, you have to have everything speed tuned, and you have to have everything mola'd. Like, if you bring 5 units in and you have a couple of them that have no Molagoras, you're probably going to lose because the other person's going to have all their gear maxed, all their Molas. They're going to have everything ready, right? So you have to be able to do that. And not only, you probably won't be able to pick the same 5 units every time because a lot of times things are going to get either banned or they're going to get, somebody else is going to pick the same unit. So a lot of the, like, you see a lot of interesting picks here. But say, for example, a Dark Corvus or an ML Ken, like these are going to be very highly contested picks, and whoever has that unit and gets first pick is probably going to pick it, which means you aren't able to. So you're going to have probably around anywhere from 7 to 9 units built for RTA, so that you can not only bring in things when your unit gets banned, but also so you can counter other things. So maybe a strip or immunity or a cleanse or whatever the case may be. So you do need to have a lot of stuff built in order to do RTA, and this is actually very early in the game to be implementing this feature, so I'm kind of curious as to how it's going to go. Now, next up on my list is artifacts. So the one thing I said in the Discord today, I've been trying not to say too much because I've been trying to plan this video and kind of get my thoughts around it. But the idea of artifacts in this game makes RTA very interesting because you don't know what kind of comp they're running. Maybe they're running like an Oxlots is a strip with violin. Like, you know what I mean? You don't really know what you're getting yourself into. Maybe they're going to run, I don't know. I can't think of an example. But things like that where because you can artifact things so differently and completely change the functionality of your units based on what artifacts they're running and the other person can't see it, it's going to make things very interesting here, and it gives you an easier way to try and fool people. It's not like arena defense where you can kind of look at it and say, okay, they're running this Dizzy and then the air is going right after it, so most likely Dizzy has violin, in the off chance that they don't, because they don't have a strip. Whereas in RTA, you could abuse the artifacts and really fool people into thinking one thing, when really the artifacts are doing something completely different. Next up on the list is you can lose in the pick ban phase. So in this phase here, if you ban the wrong person, so let me think here. So if I had to pick these units on the right, and I'm coming up against this person on the left, probably what I would do here is probably ban Biken and hope that my Dizzy goes first and can debuff everybody, right? Yeah, Biken. So trying to remove their ability to take first turn. Whereas on the other hand, they're trying to ban immunity, which is an interesting decision. It kind of depends on their speed, but if they get first turn with this team, they should be able to nuke everybody. So I wouldn't really worry too much about the immunity. Unless they are assuming that that's their fastest unit, which is possible. But yeah, so things like that, you gotta keep in mind that depending on what team they bring, say they've got somebody brings 2 immunity champions, they bring Vivian and they bring Rin, and you don't have a strip, like good luck, right? You have no way out. You have no way to strip that. You have no way to ever put up any debuffs. You're probably going to lose. So if person A only brings 1 strip and person B has double immunity, then person B probably just bans the strip and they're guaranteed to win. Whereas if you don't have a strip and they only have 1 immunity, you would ban the immunity. So things like that are very, very interesting, and they make the game very challenging and very mindful. You have to really, it's kind of like a game of chess where you really have to think about what you're doing. You can't just throw your units in there and hope you win. And next up on the list, if you think that the game is currently a speed meta, you're in for a surprise because this is going to be faster than anything we've seen so far. Top units are going to be 10 to 20 speed faster than they were before. Everything is going to be faster. everything is going to be, if you don't have something to compete for first turn, you're going to lose. You don't necessarily have to get first turn, but if people see that you're just going a slow comp, you're in big trouble. So definitely hold on to anything that has a speed substat on it because you're going to need it. And quality gear in general. So pieces of gear with like 4 good substats. You're not, obviously for maybe one unit, say you're running an Oxlots, you still want that top speed of whatever you can get. So just the speed is important, but the other characters on your team, it's going to be important to have like 4 good substats on every single piece of gear that you have. And finally, the last thing I want to touch on is that it is going to be a different meta than current arena. It's not going to be Oxlot's Cleave. It's not going to be certain combinations, because combinations in RTA are very difficult. If you bring a specific combination, they're just going to ban whoever that unit is, right? They're going to ban one of the units in your combo, and now you're screwed. So you need to bring units with a lot of utility. You need to bring units that can work well on their own, and also units that I mean, I guess I was going to say more than one thing, but I guess it's the same thing as a lot of utility. So bringing units that are multi-purposed is also going to help you out a lot. And also keeping in mind imprints. So imprints are going to be very important. They will play a role in this, so be aware of that. They did say that RTA will be coming out by the end of the year, so that's sometime in the next 4 months. So keep that in mind. The nice thing is that we have this ML selector thing coming up where you can exchange certain Nat5s, and that could be game changing. So keep that in mind when you're doing your select summons. If you plan on doing RTA, you may want to keep that in mind and pick based more on where this game is going as opposed to where it is at right now. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we will see you all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. And don't forget that Automaton Tower is resetting tonight. So I will be live on stream for that as soon as it resets. We will be trying to rush through it as fast as possible. I hope you guys enjoy it again, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.